All right, and good evening, and welcome everyone to tonight's special episode of Truly Foundation, where truly the real you loves you because the real you is love. And I just want to welcome you tonight to this special edition of Truly Foundation, where I am your host, I am your guide, I'm your temporary teacher. My name is Oliver Blue, and I am delighted to be here. And yes, we are actually, uh, this is actually live and in color on this 27th day of August. It is not a live replay, but this is a like live. In other words, if I pinched myself too hard right now, I would say, ouch, and it would be in the present moment. But welcome tonight for this special, I call it a special edition because, hey, look, I would not be honest if I didn't say that I've been motivated to share today, just because, and not because of out of fear or out of hopelessness or despair, but I am here uh, out of a decision to inspire, to reaffirm, reassure, to undergird, to remind all of us that the truth that is true always, even though it may not appear to always be present, but the truth that is true always concerning all of us, concerning all of us, no exception, is that eventually, and I can say this with certainty and confidence, that ultimately only the purposes of love, or I can say in a more familiar way, only the purposes of God shall prevail in this journey we call life. And yes, I'm motivated today. And first of all, I would like to just, and I ask you to join me for a moment of silence in honor of the victims of today's tragic school shooting that happened in Minneapolis, which I'm sure most of you have heard, and if you have not heard, but the lives of innocent children. 2 innocent children was taken, and there were 14 other children that were injured in the school shooting, along with three other adults. So 2 innocent children lost their lives. 14 innocent children were injured, along with 3 innocent adults. And so I want us to just pause here at the beginning in honor of them, and for us to send out heartfelt feelings of love and compassion to not only the victims, but the victims' families, as well as our entire nation. Because it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. What happened to one of us happens to all of us. Because in the grand scheme of things, there's only one of us. There's one of us. Though we appear here as a multiplicity of individuals, when we look through the eyes of reality, there's only one of us. And so what happens to one of us happens to all of us. And so let us pause here before I get into sharing tonight, remembering those who lost their lives as well as those that remain in a state of recovery, their families, all the people that are personally affected by what happened today. And we all are personally affected, right? Because all minds are joined. We may be in denial about it, but in reality, all minds are joined. And so let us be still for a minute. And so it is. All right. So tonight, I just want to spend some time, right, talking about something that I think is very important that we have a conversation around, because, from my perspective and probably from the perspective of all humanity, there is this season that we are in, that it appears that that we have lost our way, that it appears that there is this infusion of many forms of fear that is attempting to take center stage in what I call a world on fire. And so I want to talk about that tonight, but not just talk about it, but I want to come at this conversation from a place of truth. If you followed me any amount of time, you know that my messages are very laden with the idea that all humanity is the perfect creation of what I call love, or the perfect creation of God. That, if the truth be told, not only were we created in love, right, but that we remain in the deepest part of us, and in the truest part of ourselves, we remain hang on one second. I'm not being broadcast everywhere that I've attended. Let me fix that. Okay, I think we're going. Let me go back. Okay, I think I resolved the issue. But yeah, the truth be told, that all humanity, we were created in love, and that in reality we remain in that state of loveliness, and that's something that was given to us from the very beginning, and it is something that is it's a reality that can't not be taken from us. It's a reality that we can't even change ourselves, but and it's a reality that history shows that humanity has covered up its true essence, its true identity. That at the core of our being, we are we are the express image, or we are of the express essence and the express nature of love. This is who we really are in truth. This is who we really are in truth. And the good news is that the essence of our being uh, cannot be changed or altered by any human activity, by any thought or made up structure or made up system, or by any device. And I share this all the time on my platform, because I'm totally convinced that the majority of humanity don't realize this. And so you've heard me say so many times that we are in this identity crisis. We don't know who we are. And because we don't know who we are, then we seek to make ourselves into something that we're not. Right? You know, the principles say that love is all there is, and love creates, and love creates only like itself. So if that's the case, if that is the truth, if that is the law, then we remain as we were created. Right? We are at the essence of our being, we are love. At the essence, and what does love mean? Love means that there are no opposites. There is no opposite in love. Love is all encompassing. Love is everywhere present. Love is omnipresent. And so if there's no opposites in love, then that means that there is no opposites in us. There is no way that we can find, even though we have tried to find our way for thousands of years, there's no way that we can undo the nature of love that we all share. Though we have tried in so many different ways, and here, even in this 8th month of 2025, humanity is still denying the truth of who they are. And when we deny the truth of who we are, we try to find a substitute, something that is opposed to the truth of who we are, and we try to make that to be the truth. And thus we create an environment, we create a world, we create systems, we create all that we can imagine in our minds that is opposed to truth, that is opposed to love. Love is unity. Love is oneness. Love is a shared nature. Love sees itself everywhere, in everyone, and in everything. But when we have been programmed, when we have been conditioned, when we have been bamboozled to think of not only ourselves, but to think of others in any other way than the essence of their true nature, which is love, then we seem to make a insane environment that creates insane outcomes, like what happened today. That's insane for someone to even come up with the idea of taking weapons of mass destruction, because that's basically what a rifle is, what a gun is, right? Weapons of mass destruction, and to use them against their self. And I say to use them against their self, because to use them against another being is to use it against yourself, because in truth there is but one being, and we all share that one being. So what we do, like the Master Jesus said, what we do unto others, we're doing unto ourselves. That's why he said that the greatest law that we should observe is to love God, or to love, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And the reason he said to love your neighbor as yourself. And who is your neighbor? All humanity, no exception. And the reason he said that is because he understood the metaphysics of humanity. That though it appears that there are 8 billion people on the planet right now, here in this present moment, in reality, from Jesus' metaphysical perspective, which should be our perspective, there is only one. Though it appears to be 8 billion, there's only one being. And we all share that one being. And so therefore, he says, love God, or love, because that's our nature. That's our reality. Love your reality, and love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. So that's why I said earlier, what happens to one of us happens to all of us, because all minds are joined according to Scripture. All minds are joined. There is but the one mind, according to other spiritual documents that I use, like the Course in Miracles, or the Way of Mastery, or many other documents that I use to help me to renew my mind to the or to have the mind of Christ, or to have Christ consciousness, like we've been instructed, from all of the spiritual writings, to have the mind of Christ. In other words, that our thinking should be in alignment. Our thinking should be in harmony with the reality of our oneness. That's what Christ means, oneness, that there is nothing but the one. The Bible says it over and over again, that God was in Jesus reconciling, or in Christ reconciling the whole world back to itself, back to the one self. In other words, waking us up from the dream that we are these individual selves, and that we are separated, and that we are divided, and that we are different, and that there are some that are superior, or that there are some that are inferior. Those ideas, all right? Where did those ideas come from? How did we come to the point where we substituted the truth and self-deceived ourselves to think that we are the separate selves, the individual selves, and we have divided and subdivided ourselves and labeled ourselves in so many different ways that it has brought about a mindset that puts separation front and center, that puts division front and center, that puts superiority and inferiority front and center, that put judgment based on physical appearance above the truth, and in hope, or in an effort to bring about peace, in an effort to bring about unity, in an effort to bring about prosperity. And if you can see all of the evidence of our history, and all the evidence of our present day, and what's happening even today, these results are the results of our own self-deception. These results are the results of madness, insanity. And it shows that we are in denial. We are still rejecting who we are. We still don't believe our very own nature. And we are caught up in all of the sights and the sounds. We're caught up in this whole idea that somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. That is straight from the pit of Hades. It's straight from the pit of hell. We're caught up in this idea that there's not one table. In other words, there's not one source to life. There's not one being. But we're caught up in this deception that there are many tables. And that we can't all eat from the same table, but we eat from the table based upon what we have declared as what is right, or who is right, or by the color of our skin, or by our gender, or by our race, or by our nationality, or by our religious affiliation, or by our political affiliation, or is based on who our favorite college team is, or professional team, or who's our favorite entertainer. Who's the favorite entertainer? Who's our favorite artist? It is all of these ideas that we have substituted for truth that has brought us to this place and this mindset where we are operating in this place of weakness instead of a place of strength, because we have tried to again crucify we have tried to crucify Christ afresh. We have tried to crucify the truth afresh. We have tried to push Humpty Dumpty off the wall again, and so we can break him into thousands and thousands of pieces, never to put them back together again. When love has already demonstrated in Christ 2,000 years ago that all things have been made right, all things have been reconciled back into the one thing. And so if we've been saved from that, if we've been delivered from our own illusions, if we've been delivered from our own hallucination, how can we once again, right, tear down what has been built up? How can we once again defile that which has been made whole and innocent? So yes, indeed, there is an identity crisis. Humanity is in a tailspin right now. And here we are, here you are, if you're listening to me, we're still here at such a time as this. We're on the planet at such a time as this. And so what camp or what purpose are we serving? Is your life, is my life serving the purposes of God? Is it serving the purposes of love? Is it demonstrating that we are indeed the perfect creation of love? That we are the incarnate creations of God? That we are indeed God's highest creations? Like Jesus said that we are the light of the world. Is that the purpose for which your life is serving, or my life is serving? We have to ask ourselves these questions. Or is our life serving the purpose of destroying the oneness, bringing about separation, bringing about disharmony and destruction. Is your life or my life serving the unity and the oneness that we share? Or are we in this mode of deception and using our life as a symbol of separation, as a symbol of division? Are we not seeing the face of Christ in all humanity? Or are we a part of promoting this idea of superiority or inferiority? We're doing one or the other. And so tonight that's just my introduction. That's just my introduction. But tonight I really want to talk about, that only love is justified. Even in this world that is seemingly on fire, only love is justified. In other words, we are justified by the one love that we all share and by nothing else. Nothing else justifies us. There is no justification outside of love. But it appears that fear has become the order of the day on so many levels. That humanity is choosing fear as a means to bring about prosperity, using fear to bring about a great divide, the have and the have-nots. Fear is being used as a conditioning of control. That fear is being used as a means of enriching certain groups, certain certain people, certain nations, certain communities. Fear has become the master tool that humanity has pulled the cover over their own eyes and believe that it is a better way than love. That by beating down our brother, by denying our brother, is an alien, is alien right. It's innate right to the tree of life. What is the tree of life? Right? It is his equality. It is his innocence. It is his right to eat at the same table as everyone else. It is the nature. It is the essence of who we are. And this reality is in all of us. It is placed in the mind of all of us, but we have buried it somehow. We have covered up this truth. We have covered up our light when we're been told and instructed to be the light of the world. In other words, to affirm our love nature, to affirm our oneness, to affirm our equality, to affirm the infinite nature that we all share, to affirm our love for one another. That was Jesus' final instruction to, his crew. He said that the world will know. The world will know. In other words, when he said that when he refers to the world, he's just talking about those who hold a false idea or a false image about themselves and about the truth. those who are still asleep in separation and division, those who don't know who they are, those who can only see what they see with their natural eyes, or hear with their natural ears, or taste or touch. They only live in the realm of the five senses, which is very limited, which does not get you to the core, doesn't get you to the essence or the nature of the love that we all share. And so I want to address that tonight. I want to talk about it a little bit, right? Because we need to find our way, right? We need to find our way back home. Because when we take up the spirit of fear, right? We have gone prodigal, like the prodigal son. You all know the story of the prodigal son who asked his father for his inheritance. He wanted all of his inheritance, and he wanted it now, right? And so the father granted the son his inheritance. It gave him all of his inheritance. And as the story goes, it says that the son ventured out into the world with all his inheritance, right? And he made friends, and he made acquaintances, and he lived it up, right? And eventually it says that the prodigal son squandered all of his inheritance, right? In other words, he acted foolishly. He acted foolishly. Or he acted from a place of separation and not from a place of oneness. He acted from a place of fear and not from a place of love. Net result, the prodigal son ended up sleeping in the pig pens with the pigs and eating the pigs' food. In other words, he fell from he had no more memory. He had no more remembrance of his true nature as the son of the king, of being royal, of being of a royal family, of a royal priesthood, of a holy household. He forgot who he was. And so he ended up in the pig pen with the pigs. And that's what it appears that humanity is experiencing right now, here in 2025. What does a pig pen look like? It looks like wars, killings, destruction, where cities are turned into rubbles, where nations are fighting against nations, brothers against brothers. What does the pig pen look like in 2025? Huh? Wars and rumors of wars. Nations fighting against nations. Shooting and killing in the streets. Okay, now my platform is telling me that I have trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be on the issue of Facebook end. Let's see here. Okay, maybe Facebook don't like what I'm saying. I'm sorry. Let's see here. All right, I think I'm okay. If that comes up again, I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. So, what does the pig pen look like? It looked like what we see in the world. Shooters going into school where innocent children, innocent teachers, innocent workers, and gunned down. That's what the pig pen looks like. Leaders of nation that are so self-centered and so self-absorbed and so egotistical that they want to rule with an iron fist. Nations that are trying to totally wipe out certain kinds of people, certain races of people, certain people with different thoughts and different ideas. They don't think that they deserve to eat at the same table, so they seek to destroy them, to totally wipe them off the face of the earth. That's what the pig pen looks like. The pig pen looks like where there's one race that thinks that it is superior to other races and that they have a right to lead and to maintain and to control all the resources of the world. And so they seek to oppress or to wipe out or to destroy the other races. What does the pig pen look like? When you are mentored from the crib, from the cradle, you are mentored to think that you are inferior to others. And so you grow up with an inferiority complex. Not thinking that you deserve equality, that you deserve the best, that you deserve every opportunity. And so you live small, so you shrink yourself. And so you see yourself as inferior. And you see others as deserving or others as giants. That's what the pig pen looks like. Where everyone feels like they have to arm themselves, have more armaments. One armament is not enough, but that one has to have enough armament to defend themselves. That's what the pig pen looks like. The pig pen looks like where people are being used and abused to abdicate their rights and their responsibility in order to climb up the ladder. And it doesn't matter if they are following after ideas that they don't even believe in themselves. But they believe that, the only way to a good life is at the expense of another life. Where they hold the idea, kill or be killed. That's what the pig pen looks like. And so the prodigal son ended up in the pig pen, where he didn't know which way was up and he didn't know which way was out. But he came to himself. The scripture says that the prodigal son came to himself and said, "Oh my God, what have I done? Look at the mess. Look at the mess that I've gotten myself in." And we're watching even here in August of 2025 that the world is unfolding right before us. And many of us are now saying, "Oh my God, what have we gotten ourselves into?" What have we gotten ourselves into? We have allowed the inmates to run the asylum. We have allowed the madmen and madness to become the leader. That's what we have allowed to happen, because The reality is, it can only be allowed to happen under our watch. It can only be allowed to happen through our agreement, through our allowance. And so many parts of the world have found themselves in the pig's pen, and it is so prevalent today that it appears that right has become wrong and wrong has become right. That love has been destroyed and that fear has prevailed. That's what the pig pen looks like. That love has been destroyed. That which God has created, which was the perfect creation, has been destroyed by fear, by this egoic idea of separation. And that Humpty Dumpty have indeed fallen off the wall and has broken itself into billions and billions of pieces, and it doesn't appear that Humpty Dumpty can be put back together again. And so we take the pieces and we divide them and separate them by our politics. We take the pieces and we divide and separate them, by our religious ideas. We take fear-based ideas, fear-based theology, and we put some on the right hand and some on the left. All right? And we say some are good and some are bad. And some can eat at the table and some going to be tortured for the rest of their lives. That's where we come up when we deny the truth. We come up when we deny the truth of our oneness. When do we deny the truth of our innocence, our wholeness, our completeness, our perfection? It only leaves us. When we deny the truth, it only leaves us with falsehood. It only leaves us with self-deception. And to promote ideas that has no resemblance to unity. It has no semblance to harmony. But at its root is fear. And we know what Scriptures says about fear. We know what the Course in Miracles says about fear. We know what most spirituality and traditional spirituality and religion. We know what all of them say about fear. That fear is not of love. Fear is not of God. In fact, in 1 Timothy, for you Bible scholars, in 1 Timothy, let me read it here. In 2 Timothy, the first chapter, verse 7, it says, "For God hath not given us." Right? It says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear." Ooh. In other words, you're saying God has not created us in the spirit of fear. It says, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but has given unto us the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and the spirit of a sound mind. That's what was given to us in creation. That is the perfect creation of love, power, love, and a sound mind. Those are the characteristics of what we were born into and out of. So where did the spirit of fear come from? Where did this idea of separation and division come from? Where is this idea of disunity comes from? That's what the spirit of fear is. Where does this falsehood come from if it wasn't given to us in creation? That means that who we were prior to our embodiment was the nature of love. And through our embodiment, we came into this world, and we became what? We became conditioned by this world to the point where it convinced us to let go of the mind that the mind of power, the mind of love, and the mind of that is sound. We became convinced, and it doesn't take long in this world to become convinced that we're something other than love, that the essence of who we are, which is love, that the mind began to be trained and mentored and conditioned to think that we're something else, that we're these separated selves, and that every person is for themselves, and that unity is not the way. We become convinced of that. We get conditioned by this world. But here it says, God has not given us the spirit of fear. It's not a part of your nature. That's not what you was given. That is not who you are. That is not the essence of your being. But it says the essence of your being is power and love and a soundness of mind, meaning a sound mind is a mind that is at peace. A sound mind is a mind that is understand that it is joined with all other minds. A sound mind is a mind that understands that I am my brother and my brother's keeper, because I and my brother are one, and that I and my creator are one. That's a sound mind. And that there is equality among us. Like Jesus said, let this mind be in you. He said it, what the sound mind is. He said, allow this mind to be in you that was also in me, who being in the form of God, when he was in the body, he said, I thought I was not taking anything away from God by saying I have equality with God. He said that we're supposed to have the same mind, to where we realize that we are not these separate selves, that we're not even separate from God, but what God is what we are, and what we are is what God is. And so therefore, we're not taking anything away from the God of creation when we said that we have equality with the God of creation. No, but we teach ourselves in all of these different spaces and places, including spirituality, that we're separate from God, that we're separate from one another, that God is sitting high and we're sitting low. So there's this separation. This whole conditioning of separation is what it needs to be re-examined in your life. It's what needs to be healed in your mind. There is no God outside of you. There is no other person outside of you. But what we are perceiving with these eyes is but a projection of what we believe in our heart. What the world mirrors back to us on a daily basis is what we believe in our heart. That our perception is upside down. Our orientation has become upside down. That we're seeing from a place of trickery, from a place of foolery. We're not seeing through the eyes of Christ. We're not seeing through the mind of God, but we are seeing from a conditioning that we have embraced as our own truth, and it's not the truth. And it only leads because that is motivated by fear. And so it only leads us away from our reality on a journey of being prodigal, meaning we are estranged from home. We have left home. We have forgotten who we are. And we have seeked to make ourselves out to be something else. We have created a whole world and we have made a mess of it because you can never create a world of loveliness, of peace and joy and prosperity and equality from a mind of separation, from an egoic idea of superiority and inferiority, by the haves and the have-nots, where we judge people based on the color of their skins, where we judge people based on their nationality or their gender, where we judge people based on who they love and how they love. We make a mess of it, like the prodigal son here. He made a mess of his life and he ended up in the pig pen. But because the memory of God, the memory of his father was still in his mind, the memory of who we really are, even though the world looks like it is in a tailspin, even like the world looks like it's on fire and it's burning down and it's full of killing and destruction, hatred, revenge. Even though it appears that that is what is running the show. The memory of God, or the memory of love, or the memory of our infinite I am self still remains somewhere within our mind. The memory of love came with us on this journey called humanity. And I am here to remind you tonight. I'm here to remind all humanity tonight, every nation, every leader, every industry, every arena. I'm here to remind you here tonight that the memory of God, the memory of love is in our heart. It is in our mind. And when we pause, when we get in a quiet place, when we decide to be still and listen to the call of love that is coming from within, not from without. And most of us spend all of our time listening to the voices that are from without. We got this thing called smartphone that we have access 24 hours to voices that are from without, promoting separation and division, promoting fear, promoting inferiority and superiority, promoting retribution, promoting division, trying to get for themselves what they already have, without realizing and not realizing that all of us have been given all things equally, and that joy and peace and happiness and prosperity and safety and contentment only comes when we wake up and recognize that truth, when we remember who we are. So the memory of God was placed in all of us. Eternity has been placed in everyone's heart, regardless of what you may think of them on the surface. The memory of God is there. The memory of God is there. And so how do we allow our lives to be used to help to bring this awakening in our own life and in life and in the lives of those around us? You do like the prodigal son did. You know, the story went on to say that the prodigal son came to himself. When did he come to himself? When he was enjoying the pleasures of life, when everything was all hunky-dory? No, that is not when he came to himself. He came to himself when he realized how miserable he was. See, you can have all the possessions of this world, but be miserable. You lack peace and fearful, afraid that someone's going to take something from you. There's no peace in that. But in this case, the prodigal son, he came to himself when he had squandered all that he had. And it was good that he squandered all that he had. Why? Because the, the things that he had was what was keeping him from knowing who he was. It was keeping him from knowing who he was. And the story said that he came to himself and said, I will go back to my father's house. I'll repent. I'll change. I'll go back to my father's house. My life was much better with the Father. My life was much better when I identified with my family, with my brothers, with my community. When I saw life as oneness, when I was a part of the oneness and didn't separate myself and didn't isolate myself. Look how many people are separating themselves or have gone into isolation. That's an indication that they have lost the memory of who they are. You know, the Course in Miracles said that isolation is sickness. A lot of people are sick because they have isolated themselves. They have divided themselves. They have seen themselves unworthy, or they've seen others were unworthy of them. They have chose to only be with one kind of people and one color of people, one nation of people, and they have tried to separate themselves from the truth. When we deny our oneness with all humanity, we are separating ourselves from the truth. And our mind is not functioning properly. And it works against us. Our mind is operating in fear. When you believe that you are separate from everyone else, and you go into this state of isolation where you withhold your love, you withhold your forgiveness, where you see yourself as different from everyone else. The Course in Miracles said that is what we need to be healed from, the sense of separation. We're not these separate selves. We're not these separate beings, but we are the one being. There's only one being, and we are that. Has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Has nothing to do with your political party. Has nothing to do with your gender. Has nothing to do with your nationality. It has nothing to do with your political or your spiritual community. It has to do with the reality that all humanity is one. It has to do with the fact that we are these 8 billion shining individual expressions of the one self that we all share. And until our mind is renewed to that reality, the mind will use fear to keep us apart from that reality. And that reality keeps us from the peace and the joy that we so desire. I know I'm talking to somebody today. I'm talking to me first. And so we haven't been given the spirit of fear. That's not our nature. And so so if we were not given the spirit or the nature of fear or the essence of fear, guess what? Our nature is still intact. We cannot undo what love has done. But what we can do is misuse the mind to make something else. And so we have given our minds over to a false idea. We have rejected the mind of Christ, and we have given our mind over to an ego idea of kill or be killed. We've given the mind of Christ over to the idea of separation. We've given the mind of Christ over to the idea of the haves and the have-nots. We've given our mind over to the idea of suppression and oppression. When we feel like it is only through suppression and oppression, it's only through discrimination, it's only through judgment that we can be protected, that we can reign supreme, that this world is a survival of the fittest. All these ideas are ideas that we embrace because we deny the truth. But just like the prodigal son, we can come to ourselves, and we need to come to ourselves. Humanity, we need to come to ourselves. Those that are living here in these United States, you need to come to yourself. Black, white, orange, red, doesn't matter what your race is or your nationality is. We are one nation under God, and God is love. And love accepts all as the same access. There should be equal access. When we understand that, therein lies our peace. Therein lies true prosperity. Therein lies love. And when that is pervasive, we don't have to worry about locks, and we don't have to worry about having armed guards, and we don't have to worry about our kids that are at school, or people going into public places with automatic rifles and guns and just out of insane mind begin to destroy their very own self. It should not be, and it will not be when we wake up to the truth. There's no one leader. There's no one person. There's no one party. There's no one race. There's no one of any of the multitude of expressions that has it all, that knows it all, that has any other right than any other group. These are all insane ideas. These are all evidence of madness. And we need to wake up. We need to be like the prodigal son. We need to come to ourselves. We need to come to ourselves. Otherwise, we will just build cities and lives of corruption and destruction. And we'll bring only hardship among ourselves. Even the earth groan and travail for us to wake up, so that it can calm down, so the storms can calm down, so the destructive natural ways can calm down. They are only that way. The natural destructions that we have experienced and that we are experiencing is a result of humanity being out of harmony with its true self. And so even the earth wants us to wake up, so the earth can relax, so the earth can be at peace. It is all being controlled by the mind of humanity. And when the mind of humanity is filled with fear and think that fear is justified, well, all we're going to make from that is a world that appears that is on fire. And so we have it. And so we're in it. So what we're going to do about it? We're going to do like the prodigal son. We're going to come to ourselves. Realize that we have left our first love in our minds. But our first love still remains intact. Who we are still remain intact, because nothing we can do in this life can change the fact of what God created. We cannot change our nature. We can just go about trying to prove in our minds that it's another way, only to bring pain and suffering among humanity. Only love is justified. And love, which is truth, which is our reality, is our only way out of this mess. Hey, listen. First John picked up on this foolery, this deception. It says over here in First John chapter 4, it says right here, it says, whosoever shall over here, where it says, chapter 4, verse 16, it says, we have known past tense, and we have known and believed the love that God has to us. There was a time that we had known and we believed that God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God dwelleth in him. He that dwelleth in love, love dwelleth in him. Verse 17, herein is our love made perfect. Right? Here's how we perfect the love that we share. It says that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. When is the day of judgment? Right now. How is humanity judging itself? Well, if fear is the motivator, we're judging ourselves in fear. Are we judging ourselves in love? Because when we judge ourselves in love, we realize that we're still the innocent creation. We're still the perfect creation of love. That we are still whole and we're still complete. We're just like our Creator. And so when we have this boldness in this time to declare the love that we all share, which is what I'm doing today here. That's what all of this is about. I'm boldly declaring that love is our essence. Love is our life. Here it says that to have the boldness in the day of judgment. So I am boldly declaring to you that the truth is that we are God's perfect creation. We are God's highest creation. We are the perfect creation of love. And in love, there is oneness. In love, there is unity. In love, there are no opposites. In love, there is equality. In love, there is wholeness. There is completeness. That we are complete right now. That we are whole right now. Because we were made that way. We were created that way. We are the extension of what love is. So there's no opposites in us. So why are we acting that way? That's where the pain and the suffering comes from, when we resist who we are. And then it goes on and says that we may have judgment, because as he is, or as love is, so are we in this world. Right here, it says, as he is, as our Creator is, as love is, so are we in this world. But when we deny that, when we cover that up, and we go on a prodigal journey to find that something else, to squander away our peace, to squander away our joy, to squander away the love and the unity that we share, we end up in a pig pen. And so he says, therefore, there is no fear in love. It's right here. There is no fear in love. There is no justification in fear. Fear will never justify us. For those of you who continue to use fear to justify your actions, your desire to make of humanity something that is not. You are in the pig pen. You can be in the crack house in the pig pen. You can be in the White House in the pig pen. You can be in the United Nations and be in the pig pen. It doesn't matter where you are, what you look like, what you got on. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is, are you beholding to Christ consciousness? Are you holding, and uh, are you perceiving from the mind of Christ that there is only equality, that there is only oneness? If you're not, you're in the pig pen. Regardless of what you have amassed, regardless of what power you think you may have, doesn't matter what position you hold, and you think you're big and bad enough because of the position. You're in the pig pen. You're in the pig pen. And you need to come to yourself. You need to come to yourself and remember who you are. And when you remember who you are, you remember who your brother is. And when you remember who your brother is, you remember who God is, because you cannot remember God until you see your brother as your equal. Until you understand that you and your brother are one. You can never see through the eyes of love or through the eyes of God until you embrace the oneness, the one being that we share. You can only see through the eyes of fear. And so it said, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out all fear. Here it is right here. Perfect love. And perfect love is the acceptance of what is, of what God created, of who we are. What is the essence of our reality? What is the essence of our nature? And so it says here, there is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear has torment. So if you're operating from a place of fear, operating from a place of separation, operating from a place of division, if you're promoting division and separation, if you're using fear to control or to manipulate or to deceive, it says that fear has torment, and that fear is tormenting you. That's what the pig pen looks like. That fear is tormenting you. And there is not enough guns. There is not enough bullets. There's not enough bombs. There are not enough defense to build around you to give you peace. The more you put it around you, the less peaceful you're going to be. Because peace is not found in military strength. Peace is not found in separation and division. Peace is only found in unity and oneness. Joy is only found in unity and oneness. True prosperity, true happiness, true fulfillment is only found in unity and in oneness. And so it says, fear has torment. So be not deceived. God is not mocked. Love is not a law that you can manipulate. Whatsoever one operate in, that is what one shall receive. That is what one shall experience. So if you're operating out of a place of fear, you can only experience fear. It may give the appearance of strength. It may give the appearance of a strong man. It may give the appearance that all is well, that one knows what they're doing. But it'll only lead to the pig pen. It'll only lead to this destruction. Hear me well. This is a message of love. This is not some fear-based message that I'm sharing here. I am sharing the truth, because it's the truth that will set us free. It's the truth that will set us free. not 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 military might, but it's the truth that will set us free. Not division, not separation, not inequality, not superiority or inferiority, not isolation. That won't set us free. Not genocide. That won't set us free. The only thing that will set us free is the one being, the one reality that we all share, that we are the perfect creation of love. And so it says, perfect love casteth out all fear, because fear has torment. And he that feareth, meaning continue to embrace fear. He that continue to operate from a place of fear, who try to control by fear. He that continue to fear it is not made perfect by love. Love is the only perfection there is. And love is who we are. And all we have to do is accept that reality, and not to reject it or deny it, but to accept the reality that God is our Father, that love is our Creator, that we can't and we didn't and we will never be able to make ourselves. We'll never be able to protect ourselves. We'll never be able to fend for ourselves. But love has already provided us all things. So the world appears to be on fire. And it only appears to be on fire because we deny the truth. I heard someone say the other day that it's like crazy mint on steroids in 2025. Crazy mint. Crazy mint on steroids here in 2025. And what does that look like? Systems collapsing, division getting even more deepening, and people buying into the idea, buying into the lie, just to get more money so they can buy more things. And they know it is contrary to their own core values, but they're willing to lay down their own conviction because they think that this is the way. People have abdicated their responsibility to walk after fear, to give their allegiance over to fear, and think that their lives are going to be better. There's no way. It's not going to happen. You guys that are in leadership, that you've abdicated your responsibility to represent the people that have lifted you up in position, and think your life's going to get better by you abdicating your responsibility, by you going against your own conscience, by you going against your own core value, and you think that you and your family going to be better as a result of you bowing the knee to that. It's not going to happen. Your life is only going to get more miserable. For those of you that are joining forces with that fearful idea and think that your life's going to be better, or you're going to be protected, you got to realize that fear don't care anything about anything but itself. And so you're all dispensable. You're subject to be sacrificed. That's what fear does. That's what it does. It has torment. It will turn on you on a dime. It will destroy you to save itself. It demands complete loyalty on your part, but it has no loyalty to you. Your life is not going to get better. You're violating your own conscience. You know it's not right. You know the way some of humanity is being treated is not right. You know it, you see it, you know it, you feel it in your soul. And it's not going to get any better for you. You're not going to be saved out of fear. The only way you're going to be saved is out of love. So come to yourself, like the prodigal son did, and go back to your first love. And so I'm going to finish up. I'm going to finish up by reading out of the Course in Miracles in the workbook session for students. This is lesson number 226. I'm going to finish up my talk by just reading through this very short piece. I think it's a good way to close here. I think it brings the message home. I hope I'm helping somebody here. I know I'm helping somebody here. I know I'm helping somebody here. So lesson 126 out of A Course in Miracles, the title says, My Home. Nope, it's not lesson 226. That's not the one I want. Ooh, where's my lesson? Here it is, lesson 240. Lesson 240 is where I want to go. In lesson 240, the title says, Fear is not justified in any form. Fear is not justified in any form, regardless of how it shows up. It can show up in the leadership of a nation. It can show up in the leadership of an organization, or the leadership of a team, or the leadership of a family. It can show up in the leadership of a community. It can show up in so many different forms. But here, the idea is that fear is not justified in any form. In other words, it will never justify. It will never bring about a just environment. It will never bring about a just relationship. It will never bring about the results of justice. Fear will only bring about corruption. Fear will only bring about torment. Fear will only bring suffering, needless suffering. And so it's never justified in any form, regardless of a position, regardless of what kind of money one may have, or what possessions people may have, or what their nationality is, or their religious persuasion is, or what their political persuasion is, or what history has been. It is never justified. Never, ever justified. And so it says, fear is a deception. That's what it does say. Fear is a deception. It's the great deception. When we deny the truth, there's nothing left but fear. When we don't allow love to have its perfect work in us, then what we do is allow fear to occupy our minds. And so fear is a deception. We are deceived when we operate from a place of fear. It attests that we have seen ourselves as we could never be. When you're operating from a place of fear, you're seeing yourself in a way that you could never be. Remember, we said that love is your creation. Love is your nature. But when we embrace fear, separation, and division, it says that we are seeing ourselves like we could never be, and therefore we look upon a world which is impossible. All this happens from a place of fear. It says that not one thing in this world is true. Not one thing. Notice now, it is said not one idea. It says not one thing in this world is true. In other words, it does not reflect the truth. Truth is not made. Truth is given. Truth is creative. It's not made. So not anything in this world that is made is true. Why? Because that which is made is temporal. It is fading away. So it doesn't even have the element of what? Eternity. It's temporal. And what is true is eternal. All right? So your physical appearance is not the truth, because your physical appearance is a temporary appearance. So it cannot be the truth. It doesn't recognize the truth. It doesn't represent the truth. It does not matter what form in which it may appear, in a body, in a building, in an aircraft, in a mobile, whatever that we've made is all temporary. It goes back to the nothingness from which it came eventually. See, we're going deeper than what's on the surface. So that's where the truth is. It is beyond what we can see and taste and touch and smell and hear. But it is in a safe place where moth and rust does not corrupt. It says it's witnesses, but to your own illusion of yourself. So let us not be deceived today, but come to ourselves like the prodigal son and go back home and return to the memory of God, return to the memory of love, return to the place that we have never left. Wake up from the dream of separation. That's how we wake up from deception. We were deceived to go to sleep and believe in the idea of separation. And so all that needs to happen is to awaken to the truth and the memory of God, the memory of love, the memory of yourself, the memory of your brother. And so let us be not deceived. We are the creation of love. We are the creation of God. We are this one being, this one spirit. We are this one self that we all share. We're not a multitude of individuals, of personalities, but we are this one expression of love. Just like every wave of the ocean is an expression of what's in the ocean depths. Just like every sun ray that extends from the sun has within it all of the characteristics, all of the capacity, all of the power of the sun. So is humanity. We are all a temporary expression of our one self, of our one source. And when we wake up, we return to our first love. We return to our only love. We return to our true self, our true being, which we can never leave. You can never not be yourself. You can never not be I. You can never not be I am. You are always that. You have always been that, and you will always be that. And so we are the creation of love. And there is no fear in us. For we are each a part of love itself. And I'm going to stop right there, because I want to be able to replay this. And if I go beyond a certain time, it won't let me do it. So I'm going to stop right there. I said a lot. If you're listening to the replay, give me a shout out. And hey, I'll come back and give you some love. Thank you for being here. Let's wake up. Selah. Bye-bye.